Welcome to Dungeons & Gamers, a real play D&D podcast where a group of friends put on their fantasy hats and go on fun adventures. Let's introduce our amazing adventures, including me, Bryce, who is playing the half-orc ranger, Fergus Bog.
Hi, I'm Erin. I am playing the wood elf bard, Cookie Kebler.
I'm Beckers. I'm playing the bear barbarian.
I'm Matt, and I'm playing Morthos, the tiefling sorcerer.
I'm Darian, and I'm playing the high elf rogue Belladonna.
And I'm Katie, and I'll be Air and your DM for this and many other evenings.
Last time on Dungeons & Gamers.
I woke up in an unfamiliar place, which I later learned was called the Wildlands, next to a dragonborn named Roy. We were happened upon by a motley crew of adventurers featuring a baking elf named Cookie, an aggressive half-orc named Fergus, a quiet tiefling named Morthos, a paladin named Rokuzin, and a bear. Yep, just a bear. We joined forces for the quest to find a flower in order to help a local town's sick kids. I can get on board with helping sick kids, so we all moved on to try to find the flower. Along the way, I bonded with a cactus cat, and her name is Claudia. We came upon a gnome who I was able to seduce for further information about this flower, and we moved on in the direction he provided us. In no particular order, there was a mist that made some people loopy, a plant that looked like a beautiful lady, and a big willow tree that felt pretty foreboding. We also fought a scary wind elemental before finally meeting up with a rock golem named Fergus and a unicorn named Alariel, who led us to the flower. We brought the flower back to the village and saved all the kids. Yay!
So, picking back up right where we left off, you've watched the tension in the flush fade from sort of like the faces and the bodies and the skins of these children who are obviously like in distress and not feeling well. And the general sense of the room, there's just this calmness where there was obvious worry and anxiety before, and everybody had been kind of looking at you with wide eyes and clutching loved ones. And there's just this general sigh of relief. And the old woman, I'm not sure if you've ever actually asked her name. I don't actually remember it. I don't think you have.
I don't think so.
Don't need to know.
You didn't even question the name of the person who was like, here, go do this thing for us.
You just blindly took that. And
I don't remember.
When we got back, I rolled insight on her, so
It's true.
Yeah,
I remember rolling low on it, but I remember.
But clearly.
I remember being like, I guess, whatever. We already got it. What else were we gonna do with it?
And she turns away from the sort of like desk that she'd been working at in this like makeshift infirmary and says, "Well, I did promise you that we'd be able to compensate you in some way, so just follow me." And she makes her way out the door that you all came in. And as you turn around to look, you do see that this is a moderately sized village, but there's a small crowd that's sort of gathered outside. There are a few windows that can be seen in, and you can see people peeking in the windows and the doors, trying to see what's going on. And it seems like they've all are either aware of who you are and what you maybe were on a mission to do for them, or what has already transpired, depending upon who might have signaled or given them the idea that some sort of like relief can be taken for them, that they can be comforted, because there's misty eyes and people holding and clutching various items like hats and pieces of clothing. And she walks out the door and bids for you to follow. Who's the first person out the door?
I'm probably following her right as she like leads. I'm like, okay, I'm want to see what's happening. So
Okay. What would be the general order for everyone else? Does anyone linger behind, or do you all just kind of follow? It's totally up to you. I'm just kind of curious.
Cookie would probably follow.
I'm behind Cookie.
I'm not lingering, I'm just slow.
And I just like to be in the back. So
Okay, that's fair. So Roy and Recusant have been kind of like whispering to each other a little bit while she was administering this medicine and stuff. You see that it doesn't look like they're conspiring or anything. There was just kind of like talk, but they didn't want to kind of interrupt what was going on. And they follow out after Bear, leaving Morthos and Belladonna in the inn. So as since Fergus and Cookie are the first two out the door afterwards, you notice immediately that everyone just has, as I said, like an expression, an air of relief on their faces. And a few people seem to be holding objects other than just typical personal articles. And there's a man, misty-eyed, but he has a thankful smile on his face. He's pretty close to the door on the outside. He's sat in a chair with wheels on the side, and he reaches out to Cookie, who comes out behind the woman and Fergus. You were a little tall, Fergus, for him to reach, because he's kind of sat like low to the ground. It looks like the device that he's in is very like streamlined and built to move quickly. So he reaches up Cookie to like shake your hand almost, it looks like. Do you take it?
Absolutely, yeah.
And he shakes your hand and he just kind of nods. It looks like he's kind of like acknowledging that he recognizes what you and everyone have done. And he turns your hand over to be open, and he sets it looks like almost like a rucksack. He's got this kind of in his lap, and he reaches up and it's kind of rolled up. It looks like it's empty, and he gives it to you. It's large. It's kind of like backpack size, but it's like a soft leather, so it's easy to roll up and kind of hand over to you. And he just kind of nods and like backs up a little bit to like make a little bit more space for everyone else coming out. And as you all kind of trickle out the door, various people in the village are reaching out to you and shaking hands and putting little tokens into your hands. Amidst the items, whomever might have randomly reached them, there seems to be a small gem. It's blue in hue. There's a little figure of a silver raven. There's just a piece of metal, like cylindrical piece of metal. There's a small box. Well, not a small box, probably like the size of a piece of parchment, maybe, but not very deep. So if it holds paper, which is what about the size this would look like, it maybe only holds a few pieces. And another one does look like a wand. Hard to say what it does. It's a little nondescript. But there's other people putting various like coinage in your hands as well, which later on, when you do count up, you'll notice that it amounts to about 240-ish gold. She leads you across the center of town, this like almost like a square that they've set up here, where this sort of like crowd of people is. And when she gets to the end, there's just a small, very like smart looking house. There's a little like herb garden outside the front. And she opens up the door and bids you all to come in there. It looks like this is probably her home. It's a small house. It's like simply done, but it does look like maybe meetings are held in sort of the front room. So as she opens the door, you can see that there's like seating for enough for 10 people, more than enough for your entire group. And she's kind of staying there holding it. Do you go in?
Yes.
Yeah, Cookie would go in.
Okay.
Smell
so you can
check.
go in. You can stand or take your seats. She doesn't seem to be like particularly caught up with directing you, or like it doesn't look like she's about to serve refreshments or anything like that. Like she's not ushering you in a specific way. When the last person comes in, she closes the door and she says, "We gathered what we could. I hope that is enough for the time that we have taken from you, and whatever obstacles you might have encountered along the way. Tell me, what did you see when you crossed over into the wilds?" And I'm going to need everyone to make a wisdom save for me.
Oh, so.
Cookie rolled a 15.
Morthos
Bear
rolled a 15.
4.
Bella rolled a 9.
Fergus rolled a 14.
I'm going to go ahead and roll for Recusant. Okay, it came up as a 19 in D&D Beyond. And then I'm going to also roll for Roy. And he got a natural 1. So that's a total of a 5 for Roy and a 15 for Recusin. So as she asks this question, what did you see while you were there? Morthos, you almost feel like there's this like cloudy haze that starts to kind of like wash over the memories of these moments that you just experienced, maybe an hour or so ago, but you focus on a specific experience that you had while you're in the wildlands, whichever was most important to you or most memorable to you. And you're able to kind of clear the fog from your mind, and you have a similar experience, Cookie. And you as well, Fergus. But Bear, Belladonna, and Roy, as you're trying to remember what it was that has just happened in the last couple of hours of your life, it's really amorphous. It's difficult to recall. You know you went somewhere and you did something. And you know that you had a purpose. You know you were supposed to come back and help. Except for Belladonna, who just kind of woke up there. But it's almost like you just have this time loss in your mind. When she asks that question and you start to like, oh, you know, Barry, you might not have answered, but you were maybe thinking about it. It's like it just kind of fades away. Like a dream that you forgot when you woke up.
Nice.
So me, Morthos, and Cookie do remember?
Yeah.
Then,
and Recusin does as well.
Okay, then Fergus goes, there was a lot of weird stuff in there. I mean, I guess I'm more used to weird stuff, but I don't know. I gotta punch the air. That was something. And that's about it. We got your flower.
Yeah, a very friendly rock golem and a beautiful unicorn took us to the Queen's Grace. And I just remember seeing that flower for the first time, and it was just absolutely beautiful, and just really feeling very happy that we found it and we were going to bring it back.
Morthos is going to play it cool, and I don't remember very much. Some weird, strange things like Fergus said, but nothing I can really grasp.
You've forgotten. That happens sometimes. I always enjoy the stories that people have told from previous trips there, and the one time I saw somebody go, well, before you all. Now you weren't with them. Do you remember anything? And she points over to you, Belladonna.
No, I don't really remember anything.
Yes, that happens. Sometimes it can be recalled, but usually not. I'm sorry you've forgotten it. I'm sure it was wonderful and beautiful, although sometimes terrifying. And she kind of like goes over to what probably is like the door to like where she actually is, like her kitchen, her room and stuff. Like this does very much look kind of like a meeting sort of place that's been set up. It's cozy. It's almost like a big living room in a way. She comes out with a tray of little treats, lemon bars actually. When you try them, if you do, they are good. They're not quite as good as cookies, but they're pretty good. She says, well, we can't thank you enough, really, but we've put together what we could. I hope you find that satisfactory for your troubles.
Fergus kind of goes, helping your people was enough. Thanks for me. And then he kind of reaches out to her hand and slips one of his little pieces of paper with the like Fergus Bog for King of Faraway on there. If any people from far away pass through this, please speak highly of me.
Of course. You've saved all our children. can't imagine saying anything poorly of you all. I'll keep this. And she kind of like tucks it away in like a little pouch that she has. She's like, I'm wondering if you are on a specific mission or are you just traveling?
We're on our way to Waterdeep. I have to see a man about a thing.
So busy then.
A little bit.
We were hoping maybe that a few might stay. We're not sure exactly what it was that caused the sickness. And we would hate to think that perhaps we've angered some spirit that would just come back and make our children ill again or wreak some other havoc on the village. So if there were some among you who didn't have plans, we thought we might try to persuade you into staying. But if you're all busy, and at this point, Roy, he's like, well, he takes like a drink. I wasn't really with them, and I'm pretty good at fixing things like sicknesses usually. So I think I'd like to stay and learn more about what happened. It's interesting that healing magic wasn't very useful. And at this point, Recusant says, yeah, we were like talking about it, and it's just weird to us that this wasn't something that a cleric couldn't handle. So we thought like, yeah, maybe we'll just stay. And he kind of like looks over at all of you and shrugs and is like, sorry, I just, things have been really weird ever since I've traveled with you for like these 3 days, and I'm not about this. We were talking about it.
Recusant, are you sure?
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so sorry. You seem really cool, and
It's not me, it's you.
being friends with you. But like, isn't this just weird? Like, we just walked into a wild place, and that air thing almost killed me. Like, nah, man. I hope the kids is fine.
I still want to get paid, so I think I gotta stick with the group here. They got the bag of money.
Oh yeah. Give him my share. That's fine.
Really? Thank you, Recusant.
Fergus kind of I think with them backing out, Fergus is kind of like looking around, kind of doing like mental math in his head of like, okay, did Cookie does and like I think Recusant, I think we had decided that Recusant was kind of just escorting us to Waterdeep anyway, so him kind of bouncing right now was just like okay, he was going to leave eventually anyway, so but Fergus kind of looks over at Belladonna and is like, when you have a minute, can we talk?
Sure.
So we'll talk after we're done here.
I'd like some of the lemon bars, please.
Oh, of course. And she sets them down on the table and have as many as you'd like.
Bear lunges for the whole plate.
No.
Bear! It's like, I could give you some of mine too. Let them have some.
There's never enough lemon bars for Bear.
All right, so what happens when Bear lunges for him?
Do you try to get in Bear's way?
I'm absolutely reaching for one already. As she's putting it down, I'm already going to grab one.
That's fair. So I'll ask you then. You reach for a lemon bar, and a bear lunges at the plate. Are you like comfortable enough with Bear at this point to be like try to snatch one before a bear gets a bite of the rest of them? Or are you kind of like, are you still like, I'm not sure, I don't think I want this bear to bite me to get these lemon bars. How do you feel about Bear right now?
I think I admire Bear's strength. So like I'll probably freeze my hand, just like I'm leaning in, reaching, and Bear starts lunging. I'm just gonna not move at all.
Okay. So
as Bear goes for it.
Yeah, the hand goes down and you go to like jump at these lemon bars, driven. Like you smelled them when she opened the door and you were like, hell yeah. So when you see Morthos's hand come out and try to get one, does that like phase you at all, or are you
No.
just like face and plate? Yeah. Okay.
No, face, plate, bars, and mouth. 100%.
Okay. You reach out, Morthos. You see Bear lunging. You kind of freeze for a second. Bear is just like, ow. And it's just like face into it. Like one of those like pie eating contests where somebody has to like put their hands behind their back and like eat the pie. That's what Bear's doing, but she's a bear, so she's just eating it. There's no like hands behind her back or anything. Just face in the lemon bars.
I think Morthos is just having a bad day at this point.
This is his friend. He loses his bars.
I don't have any more lemon bars, but I have some apples.
Yeah, sorry. Bear just really loves them. And she just kind of, when she sees something she likes, she just goes for it. So, sorry.
Fergus goes, I'll take an apple, and reaches out for one.
She was going to go back to the kitchen and grab like a little bowl of apples. There's like 6 or so in there and bring them back out. They're very pretty. They're like shiny and bright red.
While this is kind of going, Fergus walks over to Rakuzin and Roy and says, "Hey, once you have this settled, if we needed your help on something, can we count on you?"
Kuzin's like, everything's been super weird since I met you, and I don't think that this is where I belong right now. But if you end up doing something that feels better in the future, like, and you find me, maybe I could be helpful. It'll just kind of depend.
Okay.
But I'm not like...
Sounds good.
Yeah. And Roy's just kind of like, I'll probably be here.
And Fergus goes, that's good. The day might come, it might not, but it's good to know we have allies should we need them.
Yeah, from Kusin. He kind of reaches over and like takes a bite of an apple and chews it like awkwardly.
Yeah, and then Fergus kind of just like is like, okay, this seems awkward. I'm gonna walk back over by everybody else.
Yeah. So she returns and she sits down like on a so there was like the table that was like around all the seating area and it was kind of like lower, but there's like almost like a counter like that's up higher in like off on the back side of the room by a wall, and she like puts those up there and kind of like anyone that wants one can have one, but it's like slightly out of like normal Bear reach. Like Bear could easily get to them, but instead of it being like on the table in front of Bear, it's kind of like you can come over here and get an apple and maybe your Bear won't eat it.
Yeah, Bear's licking the plate right now. Not super interested.
I'm gonna go over and grab 2 and just put them in my bag.
She's totally fine with it. She looks like she looks like she's so glad that everything worked out the way that it did, and that you all are fine with what they managed to come up for, like as like payment or like recompense. And she's just kind of like nodding. She's like, if you need a place to stay or anything like that, I know it's still early in the day. Of course, you're welcome, and we could find places for you. And anything else that you need, let us know.
I think we need to get to Waterdeep as soon as we can. I need to talk to these guys once we get there. But thank you for the stuff, and that's about it.
Yeah, and thank you for your hospitality, too. And Cookie goes into her bag and pulls out a couple smaller bags, and she's like, these are cookies for the children. These are homemade Kevlar cookies. Please give them each one.
Oh, Kevlar cookies. We haven't had those around here in ages. They never make it out this far. The merchants always eat them before they reach us. Oh,
Bear's head whips around.
Like Bear.
Lemon bars and cookies, best day for Bear.
She's like, oh, the children will be so glad. Are you with? Have you introduced yourself as Cookie Kebler to her?
I don't think
remember.
so. She's like,
Yeah.
I actually am a Kebler elf. My name is Cookie Kebler. I am a acquisitions agent for them. So I travel around and I find ingredients for them. Like, and this is my first time in this area, so
Cook fresh cookies from a Kebler herself. This has truly been an interesting day, and I would never have expected such a thing. Thank you. They'll be so happy.
I hope they enjoy them. I'm happy to see them doing well.
Thank you. And she kind of like she like shuffles off to like the back room. She like leaves the door open so if anybody needs anything. But she's kind of just like giving you all an area like if you want to like rest or plan or do kind of like whatever that's like she knows the whole town has kind of been staring at you, and so she's giving you the option to have a place to do whatever you need to do before you leave, depending upon what you want to do.
Okay, I guess with it kind of being like, okay, once we leave here, we'll probably just leave out of town. Fergus goes, looks at Bella and kind of goes, do you want to talk over in this side room?
Sure, dude, whatever you want.
Fergus goes, from what you said in there, it sounds like you don't remember too much about what happened, but you seemed fairly competent, and I have a job that I'm working on, and I need some help with it. We just lost a person, and would you be willing to help? That it pays.
Cool. Can you tell me anything about the job, or?
It's less than legal. If
okay,
that
great.
matters.
What else you got?
And there's a good payday at the end. I'll explain things to everybody once we get to Waterdeep. But if you're willing to tag along till then, we do need to get some information about a casino in Waterdeep. So I probably need to make sure that happens before we get too far, because with its less than legal nature, I want to make sure everybody is on board before I explain the full plan. But if you're willing, it pays well.
So what flavor of less than legal? Like, are we going to be killing somebody? Are we like robbing a place? Like, what are we doing? Like a whole bank robbery? Is this like what's going on?
If everything goes well, strictly a robbery.
Oh.
If it goes poorly, anything's on the table.
Perfect. I like the way that sounds. Sign me up.
Sounds good. And with that, Fergus kind of smiles a little bit, knowing that it seems like he's got what he needs, and he goes, cool, then I guess we best head out.
Okay.
Cool.
Is there anything in particular anyone wants to do before you leave town? Or you just kind of head on back down the path?
Just slowly turn and look at Rakuzen as we are
Just
heading
reach
away.
Aww.
Just kind of like...
Yeah, single tear.
It's like, thank you for all your help, Rokuzen and Roy. It's like, be safe.
Yeah.
Hope to see you again.
Roy's like, I don't know what happened. He's like, I don't...
Yeah, he's like, I think
don't
we
know these
established
people.
that he likes to drink, and so he's just kind of like...
Yeah, he's a
pulled, like,
partier.
Yeah, he,
flask.
like-
Yeah. He's pulled a flask out. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning, and he's like sipping from the flask the whole time, and he's like...
Yeah, and he rolled a crit 1 on
Yeah.
the... Yeah, so
he's so confused.
he doesn't know.
He's like, have I met you people before?
Yeah, he's like openly bewildered. Like he remembers, well, you don't know what he remembers, but he's like openly bewildered. You can see all on his face that he's just like,
Based on what we know about Roy, that seems about right.
yeah.
Nothing new.
Yeah. So actually, the course of this like conversation, you've been standing here and kind of like chit-chatting. It's like almost like basically a short rest. So Cookie, you have the bag. Morthos, you have the gym.
Okay.
And you were also given the raven. Belladonna, you've got the box that looks like it's got parchment in it or something, as well as the like metal cylinder. And Cookie, you were also handed the like wand looking sort of thing.
Okay.
So you've all been kind of sitting here like with these items for a while, and as this like time passes, you all can like get the impression of these items like having magical auras to them. Then you get like a brief idea kind of like of what they do. Maybe not, you might not get like the full information like an identify spell would give you, but you get an idea. So Cookie, the bag is something you might have heard of called a rucksack of retaining. It's just really a bag of holding, but it retains the temperature of an item that it was when placed in the bag for 2 weeks.
Oh.
That's awesome.
So ingredients
it's a
will
little
stay,
fridge.
Yeah. Cookies will stay fresh. Ingredients will be nice, things like that.
You can get that warm
Heck
milk
yeah.
and cookies.
Yeah.
Morthos, the gem is called a spell gem. This one is blue. It is made from lapis lazuli. And there is a spell inside. Do you currently know how to cast Disguise Self?
No.
There is a spell of Disguise Self that has been like imbued into this gem, and you know that you'll be able to use it, or anyone. It doesn't have to be. This one does require attunement, but you don't have to know the spell to cast whatever's inside. And then once it's used, you could turn around and cast another spell into it that someone could take and use. But it'll only hold up to a first level spell. That is also an item that's in D&D Beyond.
Okay.
And you also had the figure of the raven, correct?
Yeah.
It's called a figurine of power. The silver raven can be turned into like an actual raven. And I think I have some more information on that.
Cool.
Yeah.
What in the world? They just handed a bunch of random little magic knicknacks to us.
Yeah,
That's
basically.
awesome.
I mean, we kept their kids from dying. They're like, here you go.
They're just giving what they have.
Yeah. Like little heirlooms that they know they didn't need, but might be worth it to someone.
Yeah, what am I going to do with a magic raven? I'm like 80.
I mean, Cookie's got Bear. Belladonna's got Claudia.
Apparently, we're
You
turning
got
into
your
Pokemon
raven.
trainers.
I got a Raven.
Here we go. Figurine of wondrous power. The raven is the uncommon one. Silver statuette of a raven can become a raven for up to 12 hours. Once it has been used, it can't be used again until 2 days have passed. While in raven form, the figurine allows you to cast the animal messenger spell on it at will. And then Belladonna. You've heard of these, especially with the affiliations you have in your contacts, your guild. The cylinder is an immovable rod. Those are kind of like a sort of thing that like most people have heard about, even if you're not super magically inclined. And the paper, when you kind of like get that like tingly feeling, like there's something magic about it. You like can open it up and glance inside, and you see there are. Go ahead and roll me a d6.
I rolled a 3.
Okay, so there are 6 pieces of parchment inside, and you're not sure what the name of this object is, but you can tell that there is something about it that it has like a similar feeling to like a message spell or like a sending spell. Like these papers will carry messages for you. Mechanically, they are paper birds. After you write a message of 50 words or fewer on this magic sheet of parchment and speak a creature's name, the parchment magically folds into a tiny paper bird and flies to the recipient whose name you uttered.
That sounds so cool.
That's
cute as
awesome.
heck.
Yeah.
Does it fly at normal bird speed?
And let's see here. The recipient must be on the same plane or it turns into ash. The bird object, it has hit points and stuff. Immune to poison and psychic damage. It travels to within 5 feet of its intended recipient by the most direct route, whereupon it turns into a non-magical and inanimate sheet of parchment that can be unfolded only by the intended recipient. Mm-hmm. It doesn't give me the speed, but it just says it goes there as quickly as possible by the most direct route.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think bird speed.
yeah, bird speed. Typical fly speed. And then the last item... Cookie, you have the wand is a wand of magic missiles. Another sort of like moderately uncommon magic item that you have heard of before.
Dude, that sounds so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is it basically just I could use that to just cast magic missile?
Mm-hmm. One has 7 charges. While holding it, you can expend 1 or more of its charges to cast a magic missile spell. For 1 charge, you cast the first level version of the spell, and you can increase the spell slot by 1 for each additional charge you expend. It regains 1d6 plus 1 charges daily at dawn, but if you expend the last charge, roll a d20, and on a 1, it crumbles into ash and is destroyed.
Oh.
What's everybody's passive perception, actually?
I got 12.
13.
10.
9.
14 for me.
So, Cookie, you notice that the lady, the old woman, she's like doting about, like, she picked up the bowl after all the apples were gone, or what it looked like you all were done with them and stuff, and she's kind of like tidied some things up. She went and retrieved the plate that had the lemon bears on it, and has just been kind of like trying to stay out of your way. But as you all were like starting to notice the items that you had, she was definitely kind of like watching to see if it looked like you were happy. I don't know if any of you have like discussed them yet, but obviously having like stopped and kind of looked at the thing, she's basically just like watching everyone's face to see if anyone looks upset. And she looks pleased when it doesn't look like, at least at this point, that anybody looks like upset by the things that they have received. Just something you notice while she's moving around.
No, yeah, the things we got were great, in my opinion. So are we ready to go then?
I think so.
Everyone gets up, and she thanks everyone again so much for saving them all. She opens the door, and you see her kind of pause for a minute and kind of like do like a sweeping motion with her hands. And you see that there are just like clusters of people kind of milling about as you sort of exit. If you make an effort to go and speak to anyone in the town, they will talk to you. But it looks like they've all been shooed away to allow you to leave if you choose to do so. Do you go ahead and leave town, or are you going to stop and talk to anyone? Totally up to you.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody we know here to talk to, so...
Nope, just asking.
You're shaking hands, kissing babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Passing out business cards.
Yeah, I did that as they were given gold, so it's like, take a coin, take a card.
How many business cards do you think you passed out in total?
I mean, do you want me to roll for it? I guess I don't know.
No, just like, how many do you think he'd give out of how many he has? Like, do you think he would have given one to everyone, or like maybe like 5, 10?
I think he'd give like 20, probably.
Okay.
You don't want to give it to everyone. You don't want it to seem like he gave it to the people who seemed most excited about his thing.
Okay. Yeah, there were well more than 20 people there, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So you all leave. You all head out of town. You know the way down back to the crossroads that you originally met this old woman whose name you don't know at. I don't think you did. I don't think you asked. You might have, and in which case I'm sorry, and I'm just poking fun at you. And if you just head back down the road towards Waterdeep, you know it's going to take roughly about 3 days travel. You have lost a couple of hours in the morning, but that could be remedied by resting another night and arriving super early or arriving super late on the night that you arrive. It's not that much of like a time loss. So you travel down the road. You are greeted by an equally pastoral scene to the one that you woke up to this morning. And you'll stop to not make camp around lunchtime, but when you're traveling and you're walking, you do have to stop for a meal. So lunchtime, you've walked for several hours. Everybody's stomach starts rumbling, and it's time to stop and figure out what you're going to do for lunch. Is it rations for lunch today, or do you plan to try to cook something?
I mean, I feel like Cookie would be the one who would be doing cooking. Well, I mean,
she's a baker, not a cook.
Are we under the understanding that the Kebler baked goods provide enough nourishment for us to live off of, or not?
They are baked goods, so you can survive off them. I mean, if you only ate baked goods for a long time, you might end up with like scurvy, depending upon whether fruit's involved at any point.
I figured due to their special nature, they might be more hardy than more.
we are replacing like fun spell stuff with the food, but they're not like good berries. Good berry, if she were to learn a spell like good berry and then were to like make pastries with the good berries, then like the good berry would still function like good berry. Yeah. But this is just food. Like, she doesn't have to stop and cook anything right now. This is more a question of like, are you gonna like stop and make a fire and like make a lunch after you're like, because even though you've only lost 2 or 3 hours of the actual day, you had your whole like adventure. So for you all, more time has passed and you might be more hungry. I'm just asking whether you're like planning on cooking. You're just gonna like stop, put your feet up under like a shaded tree and like have some rations and give yourself a breather before you continue on.
We're still a couple days out.
I'd just do rations.
Okay. I think Fergus will eat the apple that the lady gave her.
Okay.
Yeah. Morthos is going to snack on his apple, but I want to cast get my figurine and use it to get my raven out for the rest of the day.
Okay.
And since, there's enough time before getting there, I'll just have my raven for the day.
So,
right.
So does the raven stay once or is there a time limit on its?
For 12 hours.
Oh, okay. So it's a decent amount.
And then I can use it again in 2 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that there's a command word. Figure powder such
Oh,
that
speak the command word and throw the figurine. Yeah.
So you tell me what the command word is.
Raven, I choose you.
Please no.
I whip it, spinning it sideways.
It's totally up to you. If that's what you want it to be, then that's fine.
Okay. Rah rah Raven.
Oh my gosh, please.
Okay. So that's what you're going to have to say
Yeah.
every time you activate the raven. Just, it's like it's inscribed on the side,
All right.
which makes sense. It came from like a village. The peasants didn't seem like they were like wondrous wizards with lots of power and wanted to make some like clever catchline. They were like, this is good enough, right? Like, whatever. Yeah. So there you
That's
go.
adorable.
It's
I'm going to call it rah rah as a result.
I love it. So rah rah raven, it's almost like if you've ever seen whichever Terminator movie it is with the bad guy that's like the liquid metal, it's like liquid metal splays out into like a larger version of itself. And then as the magic settles, it looks more like a normal raven. So it's not like you obviously have a silvered raven on your shoulder or whatever. But there is almost like a bit of like a sheen of silverness to it when you look at it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there like a river or a creek or something nearby?
So there are like several patches of like copses of trees and stuff. And so you've all kind of like moved slightly off the road and like you're sitting under like the shade and like enjoying like taking a breather. And you know that there's more like foresty, not a full on forest, but there's like wooded area behind you. And this is the sort of setting that would have like small river runoffs. Because this is like an agricultural area, there are many, many sources of water. And it does have that kind of like smell to the air that being near like running water has, where it's just like a little bit more humid almost. So you know that there's probably like some kind of a creek or something in there that might be nice to dip your feet into or something.
Okay, I think Cookie's going to go to the group. I need to go fill up my water skin. Does anyone want me to fill up theirs while I'm out?
Fergus.
Yeah, if you're offering.
I am offering.
Fergus kind of reaches down to his water skin and then remember it's filled with magic water and he's like, no, I'm good.
Okay. Bella?
No thanks.
All right. Morthos, I'll take yours and I'll go.
Thanks, Cookie.
It's like, Bear, do you want to tag along and we can go for a walk?
Bear likes walks. I'm following Cookie. Yep.
I said the W word.
I don't know if all the time I spend around dogs is influencing how I play Bear.
I feel like there's a certain like it makes sense though. Like
yeah.
They know some words enough.
Yeah, right?
Right.
Like, toddler level able to retain words. So you kind of head off into the, like, at first it's like thin trees where they're providing shade and it's more like small groupings than like there being like a it's not a forest. What's smaller than a forest?
A copse.
Whatever. A grove. Yeah, copse. There's like a little grove and a little copse back there. And you walk under the shaded canopy where the trees are a little bit thicker. And after just like a few minutes, you start to hear like a slow trickling sound. And you literally only walk for maybe like 10 or 15 minutes. And you're able to kind of find this like slow moving, really shallow, but like clean looking water. And it's even like a little bit cool to the touch, almost like maybe there's a spring nearby or something.
Okay. So Cookie kind of goes up and she sees, I kind of picture there being like just a small waterfall there.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. And she pulls out her water skin and she starts filling it up under the waterfall. And while she's doing that, she kind of notices that she's getting kind of, her vision is kind of getting blurred. And that after a minute, the water skin actually just starts overflowing with the water. And she starts feeling tears welling up in her eyes. And she falls to her knees and begins to cry.
So Bear notices something's wrong with Cookie, right? Like something's happening. So she's gonna walk over there and lick Cookie's face.
Aww. Cookie waves her hand and casts Speak with Animals. And she goes, Bear, there's something that I need to talk about.
What's up, Cookie?
When I meditate at night, I get flashes back to the cave. And I see my dagger going into Vilnius's body. And then I just see blood. I see his corpse just laying on the ground, lifeless. And it haunts me to this day. But the crazy part is that in that moment, I didn't feel any remorse. I was happy that he was dead and that I gave him the killing blow.
Why are you sad?
Well, I guess I just don't recognize that person. It's like what I did. It's like I took away him getting the justice that he deserved from the elves or whoever. And that wasn't right. That wasn't my decision to make. But I did it anyways. And it's just, it's a side of me that I've never seen before. And it's a side of me that I just don't want to see again. And then she just kind of puts her face into Bear's fur, because I kind of see them being real close together. And she just cries for a moment to just process and let the feelings out. And then after a minute or two, she kind of lifts her head out of the fur and goes, I never want to kill again.
That's okay. I'll do it for you.
So she just kind of laughs and wipes away some of the tears from her face and goes, thanks for listening, Bear. You're a good friend. And she gives Bear a big hug and pulls out a cookie from her pocket and gives it to her. And then she fills up her water skin and Mortho's water skin and gets up and is ready to walk back.
Okay. Bear eats the cookie. And calls the cookie.
There's still a while in the spell. Is there anything, not to like, no pressure, that was wonderful, but like, how does Bear feel about that? Like she's like, oh, it's okay, I'll do it for you? Does she think like, is there anything you feel like you need to like express to her, or are you like, this is good, I've got you? Like,
I've got you. Also,
Yeah.
like, when people bother you, Bear feels that you should be able to just kill them.
all right. So Bear's like, all right, Cookie's not feeling good about this. I'm going to take care of things, basically.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, cool. So you all, there's like a gentle breeze, and it's kind of like your face is a little like chilled by it at first, Cookie, because there's still a little bit of like moisture from where you're crying, but it kind of almost helps dry the tears and stuff at first too. And you have just enough like long of a walk that by the time you get back, it's not like super evident that you cried, unless like you would like for it to be. But if she was wanting to kind of like breathe, center, like fan her face kind of thing, it would be easy enough to kind of like walk back and look perfectly normal.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
what she would do, and would be trying, because she wouldn't want to talk about it, I don't think, after
Yeah.
that.
Okay. So Cookie and Bear arrive back. You hand Morthos the water skin.
Guys, I
Thanks.
do have some little pies that we could maybe eat for a snack if you would like.
Hi, sounds lovely.
I
Pie
would
is
love
one of the words Bear knows.
What flavor of pie?
It's kind of a mix of like nuts and berries and stuff that's good for you to eat while you're like out, to give you like energy and things like that. So it's just kind of a mixture of like berries and nuts and stuff like in a little pie.
Kind of like a Cliff Bar, but in pie form.
Kind of.
Fergus has kind of already eaten his apple, and he's still hungry, so he's like, thank you.
You're
Morthos
welcome.
happily takes one, starts scarfing it down.
I'll tastefully and slowly just enjoy the one that she gave me, just like I've never had something so delicious in my entire life.
Aw. That's Cavaliers.
Compliments to the baker. Amazing.
Mm-hmm. And they are really good. And you've had good food. They're really good.
Mm.
Okay. So unless anyone else like strikes up any conversation or anything, you finish your rest, you eat, you feel like, okay, I'm good for another 6 hours of walking, kind of thing. You might take additional rests along the way. But unless there's anything else specific anyone's wanting to do, like trying to scavenge or whatever while you're walking, then we'll just come to camp for the night and watches. Anybody else have anything on the docket before then?
No.
Nope. Okay. All right. So you break camp for the night. You're only about 2 days away. You can, as you see fit, you all can decide to eat or like go foraging for stuff. Let me know if there's anything specific that you would like to do, like in terms of like camp stuff, and we'll do any rolls necessary, anything like that. Who is going to take? Are you going to set watches? Actually, I should ask, since you're kind of out on the road by yourself.
I think Fergus would stay up first. I don't know if anybody else would call for watch, but I think he would make sure and kind of stay up later and such before anybody else kind of falls asleep. I guess waiting for everybody else to fall asleep before he falls asleep. I do think he's been carrying the mirror in his bedroll, and once everyone's kind of asleep, he'll finally like unroll his or take it out of his bedroll and kind of gently set it next to him, like right within arm's reach.
Is it flat on the ground, or is it leaning against something?
I could see him leaning it next to a tree and then laying next to that tree, just far enough that like there's not a concern that he would accidentally thrash in his knight and knock it over, but close enough that he would feel confident that if anybody touched it, he would hear.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So it's like leaning slightly inclined as you lay down. You can actually even still see yourself in the mirror a little bit.
Yeah.
There's like, are you going to light a fire for the night? It's not like a super cold night, so it's kind of up to you all.
I would imagine we would.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'd put it. I think we'd put it out before we go to sleep.
I also, elves don't really sleep.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily, I mean, I wouldn't fall asleep at any point. But I mean, I'd offer to take a watch if everybody else wants to rest.
Okay.
Bear's gonna
Cookie,
sleep.
are you an elf or a half elf?
She's a wood elf.
A wood elf. Okay.
So yeah. So she
Yeah.
would definitely just be like meditating as well, but she would be really tired and would want to do some deep meditation after everything that they've been going through, and she had a pretty emotional day, so
Yeah. That's it's like light activity, so you can do your deep meditation and like you can really focus on whatever you want to, and like your senses are kind of up to you how deep in your meditation you are. You're not going to be, it's not the same as being asleep, even in a deep meditation. So you're always going to have like a little bit of awareness.
some awareness, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So you can organize that as you see fit. I imagine Bear probably isn't taking a watch because it would be difficult to communicate anything going on. Morthos, do you see yourself taking a watch?
Not if he doesn't have to.
Okay. All right. So basically, the two of you that don't actually need to sleep, and Fergus are obviously going to be the last ones still left awake. So there's a little bit of like a firelight that's been twinkling. Maybe Fergus puts it out before he like unwraps the mirror and kind of like sets it against something. And or excuse me, he puts it out right after he does that, and then like sets up his bedroll. You stay up for however long you feel like staying up, Fergus, and then there's a point where there's just the mirror is kind of like reflecting a little bit of like the moonlight, and Cookie is obviously like taking her like meditative state into like a deeper place than you probably are right now, Bella. And you have just kind of like a moment to yourself where like pretty much everyone is asleep except for Cookie, who you can tell is like really kind of focusing on herself at this moment.
Once I'm sure then that nobody is going to be paying attention to me, I'd pull out that box with the parchment and I'd just take one of the sheets out, and I would probably spend a good 5 minutes pondering exactly how I want to word it and what I want to say. And then I write a note and send it on out, and I watch the little bird fly off in the distance, and I have a little smile on my face, and then I'll start writing in a little diary that I keep on my person.
And Claudia has been kind of like sitting, and I wouldn't say the cactus cat would really need to groom as much, but I think like out of habit, they would be like pawing at things on the ground, and every once in a while, like a noise will happen, like a normal outside noise, and the spines will kind of like creep up a little bit. And then after a moment, they'll kind of go back down, almost like that's the haunches that a cat has when they're first stands up kind of thing. But she's like nestled against your leg and just kind of like generally purring and enjoying herself.
And I'm loving on her occasionally too.
Sounds good. Okay. So the evening passes without incident. You all awake feeling refreshed, or finish your trances and your light activities feeling refreshed. You didn't actually see anyone on the road. That's not necessarily altogether uncommon, because most people do stop and rest in the night. But yeah, it was like just a really remarkably quiet night. So you continue on the path the next morning, and there's a point probably a little bit early for like the normal lunch break where there's some sounds off in the distance. Everybody make a perception check for me.
Is it smell based?
It is not smell based. It is sound based this time.
I got it.
Bella got a 21.
Cookie got a 9.
Fergus got a 10.
Bear got a 9.
Morthos got a 7.
Okay. So you're all walking along. Do you think there's like conversation, or are you all just kind of like quietly trudging down towards Waterdeep?
It seems like we're pretty quiet.
Yeah.
No, I would try to make quiet conversation with Morthos. This guy's interesting to me, and I want to know more about him.
Okay. So you two are kind of like quietly chatting in the
Hey,
back.
what's up?
You can have a conversation if you would like to, absolutely. No. Okay.
I was
that's fine.
thinking about Rakuzen.
Just like random small talk to try to gauge how he responds to random things along the way. Just to
Okay.
gauge his personality without getting anything deep.
Okay. How do you think you react to small talk right now, Morthos?
I think I get a lot of short answers, like a lot of yes, no kind of thing, and then
Do you think he's being terse short, or do you think he's being like distracted short?
I think he's being a little fussy,
Okay.
like he doesn't want to give
Oh.
away too much. He thinks Bella's cool, like he's impressed by what she's done so far, but he's like, I don't know, still kind of standoffish.
Cool. I would actually pick up on that and not harass you. Like, if
Okay.
I can tell you're getting uncomfortable or are not enjoying the little bit of interaction, I wouldn't push at all.
Okay. Right. So that you two are having like a quiet periodic conversation, obviously like politely done. I'm not going to make you roll to see if you can politely converse or anything like that. You're just about to ask another question that you know, or you're pretty certain won't like raise any haunches from Morthos, Bella, like another kind of like, oh, so, what kind of cookies have you had from Cookie or something like that? That would be like a happy answer that wouldn't take much from him. And you hear what almost sounds like whimpering, like somewhere off, like in the field to the right of the road, which since you're heading south would be west. So it's like this almost like a faint whimpering sound, and you hear it too, Fergus, like some kind of creature is hurt or tired or scared or something. Like it doesn't sound like a baby animal. It sounds like a full-grown animal, probably canine, but it's unclear like what exactly it is. Like it's not. You can't tell whether it's like hurt or whether it's just distressed.
I think Fergus has definitely spent a lot of time in the woods and stuff, and he's tried to take care of a few animals that have seemed hurt, and he kind of stops when he hears this and goes, "Hold, I think there's something we need to check on," and he starts walking towards the source of the sound.
What do you hear, Fergus?
It sounds like an animal's hurt.
What do your orc ears hear?
I heard it too.
And yeah, Fergus is just making his way that way.
I heard we were going to Waterdeep.
There's a lot of ways to get to Waterdeep, and maybe that we're taking the
Apparently
path.
we're taking the longest road.
Yeah. Hey, you got a fancy raven because we took the path before, so maybe you'll get a second magical thing out of this.
Did you do anything with your raven while it was available to you yesterday? By the way,
Just simple commands, just like go do a loop, go 100 feet that way, come back, just kind of like playing with it,
Do a barrel roll.
Yeah, do a barrel roll, sure.
there you go. Do a trick. Okay. So the figuring, of course, this is the next day is in your pocket. You are able to, Fergus, as a ranger, it's pretty easy for you to track, but go ahead and make me a survival check just to see how easy it is for you to notice your surroundings and stuff. If you would like to help Bella because you heard it too, you can.
Well, I rolled a 20.
I got a 15.
So, you're in kind of like a high grassy, like untamed area off the side of the road. The trees are thinner here, so it's more like the sort of like rolling plains that like almost look like waves when they're kind of like blowing in the wind. And so there's like, at first it's kind of difficult, like, okay, it's to the west, and you start kind of like wandering off that direction, but there's almost just like this sea of rolling grass that's almost like waist high almost to Fergus. With like little spots of trees. But then you notice that there's like an area that the grass is disturbed and there's almost like earth kicked up. And you're able to follow that back to there's like a short tree that looks like it was broken at some point but kept growing. So there's this like large overhang bit that's still half alive but half dead. And there is this creature, it looks like, huddled up in this sort of like lean-to almost that's made by these branches that are broken over and are like half alive and half dead in this tree that's like out in this field. It's like partially obscured because the leaves are a bit alive, but you do see a bit of fur. There's some like light and dark texture to it, or shade to it.
Fergus kind of slowly comes up to the animal, kind of trying to get close and be like, "Are you hurt, buddy? Do you need something?"
Make an animal handling check.
Your boy is proficient at 13.
Okay. So originally you could basically see like the back like haunch of what looked like maybe like the left side hindquarters, and you start to speak and you see like a head poke out from under the leaves, and there's just this beautiful wolf with blood matted on their fur. They've got these bright golden eyes that like are a little keener than you're used to seeing from animals. Like you look at some animals, and especially dogs, almost like, have a way of like bonding with people, being pack animals and stuff like that. But these just have a way of kind of like staring through you, almost like there's an intensity to the gaze of this creature. They've got like dark black and brown mixture of fur that fades to a fair white color, like under their neck and on their underbelly, but there's just like dried matted blood across them. And as you're looking, it doesn't look like they have as many wounds as it would take to create that much blood. Like maybe there was they got a bite out of something else too, or something like that, but it looks like it's been through some kind of like a fight, and it seems to be favoring the leg that was kind of sticking out, like it couldn't quite hide it well enough as it was trying to like lick its wounds. But it's just kind of like intensely looking at you, like half poked out of these leaves overhanging on the ground.
Fergus kind of looks back and goes, "Cookie, can you come here real quick?"
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not. This wolf looks injured. You have healing magic, right?
Yeah, I do.
Can you see if you can help it?
Absolutely.
It doesn't look as backed into a corner as it does look like it's like studying the two of you intensely, and it's trying to like shift around, but it's got this one leg that's not quite working. And as you look at it, you do see that in the other areas where there's just like these patches of like this dry mottled blood, there's a little bit more of like a fresh looking, like maybe like a gash or a bite or something that you can see where there's a little bit more of something fresh looking, like kind of in this fur that's not as dried.
Okay. I think she'll cast Speak with Animals and just go, "I'm just here to help you. I'm not going to hurt you." And then put Cure Wounds on the wolf.
Okay. So you say that, and he kind of lowers his head a little bit, like still looking at you intensely, but like a little bit more relaxed. It's not necessarily like a nod that you get, but definitely kind of like a relaxation to the posture, and you're able to cast your spell. And as you're kind of, working in the area where you see that this like sort of fresher blood is, you're able to, without having to like touch it or anything, you're able to see where the wound is. And as you cast the magic, it does close up a bit. And you think, just based on the look of it, that it probably was a pretty deep bite that was impacting like the movement, like something might have like gotten torn or bitten through like a ligament or something in there. And so it was just, he was having trouble like moving the leg as well as it hurting. But with this type of magic, that kind of thing gets like sewn back together. So after a few minutes, he kind of like sits up a little bit, and he still looks a little like fatigued, maybe almost at this point, less than less than like anxious or wary or like not able to get up. He just looks like he's had a really rough time, but he's like moving his leg properly now and is kind of like sitting up like you would expect an animal to. And he's got his head still bowed a little bit, but he doesn't look like anxious or anything like that. Just kind of like naturally wary, and he's looking between you and Fergus.
Is there the blood on him? Is it like a trail of blood leading from somewhere?
When you first started kind of like wandering off the road towards like this general like really soft whimpering sound, you found that like stirred up area. Like thinking about it in retrospect, it did look like there was something that happened there. Like perhaps there was like an animal altercation. There were several creatures involved. You could go back and you could probably study it at greater depth to find out more about like how many and what types and things like that. But like there was a little bit of like a few patches of a little bit of like pooled blood between those two locations, but there wasn't like a thick trail or anything like that.
Fergus goes into his rations and pulls out a little jerky and kind of like puts in his hand for the wolf to take.
Okay. He like leans forward and smells it and kind of like not wanting to take it from your hand, but clearly wanting it, kind of like dips his head down low and kind of is almost like looking at it from beneath and like wanting you to drop it.
With that, he kind of just kind of drops it in front of him.
Okay. He hungrily eats it up very quickly.
All right. I think Fergus is kind of gonna back off a bit, gesturing to Cookie to do the same, and he's going to try and figure like go to where the source of this seems to happen and figure out what caused this.
Okay. It's easy enough to go back and follow your footsteps back along the path that you've kind of like made to get here. So go ahead and make me another survival check while you're like looking through this area to see if you can figure out what exactly happened.
I rolled a 1 with +2 is 3.
Okay. So you're taking a look around and the grass is pushed down. There are like gouges in the ground where even just like your base level amount of working knowledge, you can tell that this is either a person or an animal who has like dug their foot in trying to stand their ground and was like pushed back, or maybe they pushed off to lunge at something. Like the ground was a little bit more wet, or there was just a lot of force behind it when this happened. It's difficult to tell how many and what creatures there are, but this was more than just one for sure. And it looks definitely like more than 2, but it's really just hard. Like maybe it's been a long time. There does seem to be, just even with a natural 1, you're a ranger and there's a base level amount of knowledge there. When you're looking at the ground, there's been obvious blood spilt when you move the grass out of the way and you start like picking up and sifting through the dirt that's in the like moved pieces of earth and things like that. So something happened here, and it seems to be like mid-scale. Like maybe there were 2 packs that went off against each other, or maybe there was a large predator animal, and it seems unlikely that he was caught by himself. More like either he's the only survivor or he was the one that wasn't able to make it along and he was left behind or something like that. So kind of difficult to say.
Fergus comes back to the wolf and kind of gets close and goes like, where's the rest of your pack? Where's and he kind of like kind of tries to make hand signals to kind of explain, where are the rest of them, kind of gesturing at him and just kind of trying to communicate with what little he has to offer. Trying to gesture to him to be like, can you come out and such.
Okay, make another animal handling check for me.
Oh, big. 14.
Okay. So again, he looks relaxed, but it was like reluctant to like move too far from where he'd been kind of like pulled up, I guess, for lack of a better term. But as you're kind of talking to him and gesturing and using like calm tones and all the things works to like establish a rapport with an animal at any time you've ever needed to do that, he kind of like slowly starts like he'll do that thing that a dog does where he'll I mean, he's a wolf, but he'll kind of like move a little bit and kind of like sit back down on his haunches and then like scoot a little bit forward a little bit more. And so he comes fully out from this little like broken branch-ish area and is kind of like sitting and looking at you like curiously and like interested almost in a way. Like there's no aggression in his posture.
Fergus grabs out another little jerky from his rations and sets it down in front of him again and goes, if you want to come with me, we can see if we can find the rest of your pack. Some reason I can't figure out where they are or what happened here, but I mean, we can try and reunite you. Can't seem to understand where they are right now.
He eats the second piece of jerky and he kind of stays a little bit closer to you this time and kind of like does the like sniff thing that dogs do where you can see their nose wiggle and he's like sniffing the air around your hand.
I think Fergus is I think trying to lead him back to where he thinks that the incident happened, to see like with the jerky in hand, hoping that with the wolf there, that might give him like the wolf's reaction might give him a clue to what happened.
He begins following you, like timidly going for the jerky and just willing to kind of like slowly walk behind you. And it looks like at first he's like favoring that leg that looked hurt, but then as he continues to walk, it's almost like either he realizes it's fine or trusts walking on it now that it feels okay after he's taken a few steps. And he's just kind of like slowly, he's still like at a distance. He's not like right up by your side all of a sudden. But he's just a few feet away and kind of like slowly following you while you're holding the jerky out. And you're able to lead him all the way back over there.
Once we get back, does he seem to have any reaction that might give me an idea?
Do you give him the piece of jerky or are you still holding it?
I think I'm breaking off little bits and putting it in front of him as we walk to kind of lead him.
Okay. Like leading him with like Reese's Pieces, like
yeah.
E.T. Okay. So he is following you and eating these little bits. And when you get back close to the area, he bends his head down to eat a piece that you've laid on the ground. And as he kind of like laughs it up, he stops and he puts his head up and his ears tilt forward and he sniffs the air. And then he kind of, you're still like, it wasn't very far, but there's like still grass covering the area where he wouldn't be able to like see it yet because of how tall it is here. But he kind of ends up making like a beeline towards to cover like the last like 5 or 10 feet between where this like scene is and where you were like leading him.
Mm-hmm.
And as he arrives, he starts like walking around quickly and he's smelling the ground and he's smelling into the sky and like whimpering, and he stops and he like howls a few times. And after he howls, the ears will perk up and you don't hear anything for a little while. And then he'll sniff around and he'll do it again.
Can I discern what that means?
Make an insight check or survival. What do you think?
I figured animal handling, seeing as I'm
okay.
discerning
Animal handling will work. Yeah. We'll go with that.
11.
He looks distressed. He looks like he's expecting, like, wolf activity. There's like the call and the answer of the howl. That's part of like the communication of the pack. And when he does it, he's like stopping and listening. And when he doesn't hear anything, he gets agitated again. but not angry, agitated, like worried.
Fergus gets down with him and goes, I'm not sure where your family is. It sounds like they're not around here. We're going down the road. You should come with, and we'll see if your family is on the way. And he kind of as he does that, he kind of like waves his hand to gesture the way that they're walking. And he puts another jerky kind of down for him to try and calm his feelings.
Okay. You put the piece of jerky on the ground, and he's eating it, and he's kind of watching you as you're gesturing, and it takes him just a few moments as he kind of like sniffs the air again and like walks around and looks at everything. But as you kind of like are backing up and like waving for him to follow you, he does kind of like almost slowly just like trailing behind you a little bit, like coming with, but still keeping like a distance. You know that this is pretty remarkable for a creature that's not been domesticated, for you to be this successful. Almost like there's like an understanding there that you can't quite explain, perhaps, but just something drew you to him, obviously. And for whatever reason, he seems to be like trusting you, and just like as any creature would, except for adventurers, when meeting someone new, is just kind of like keeping a little bit of a distance before he's completely comfortable, if that makes sense.
Fergus goes, if you guys want to just keep following the road, I'm going to hang back a little bit more to make sure the wolf seems okay. But it should be just straight this way, and gestures to the way to Waterdeep. So kind of as they're walking, as I assume the wolf will kind of lag behind, and Fergus will kind of wait and try and just like watch him and see if he's seeing signs of his family or anything.
He's like, you'll take a few steps, and he'll take a few steps, and when you stop, he kind of like sits back down and sniffs the air and like looks around, and then you'll walk, and he'll take a few steps. That kind of thing where he's like, he's following you, and he's still kind of like looking around him, but he does seem to be like trailing you.
Okay.
Does everybody like fully leave? Do you all go back to the road, or are you all kind of like just making like, just like slowly walking away and watching? What are you doing?
I'm going.
Yeah. Okay. If Bella's going, Morthos is like, all right, let's get a move on.
Yeah, Cookie would just fill in Bear with what's happening and be like, this wolf is chill.
Mm-hmm.
So we good.
Please don't
And-
fight them.
Bear doesn't trust it, but she just watching. She thinks the wolf is sus.
What does
There's not a
that
task
mean?
in that room, Wolf. I'm kidding.
What does that mean?
Suspicious. It's.
Oh.
I've been playing a lot of Among Us.
It's deep gamer lingo.
I'm like, what's that mean?
We're making use of
Pretty sus.
the part of dungeons, and now we're covering the gamers part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go sniff its butt.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait, no.
Oh, what? I am not a dog.
A bear.
I am
She's
a bear.
a bear.
I don't sniff butts.
Bears are
I
like
don't
big
think
dogs.
That's
I feel
how
like I say
people
this
treat
every
men.
week at this point.
So you all make your way back to the road and continue on. And Fergus, after a while, like it seems like he was perhaps a little reluctant to like leave that area, but after after a few like more howls and like silence that follows it, he seems content to follow you in your trail of beef jerky.
Okay. Yeah, and then we keep walking.
Okay.
I think every so often Fergus kind of like looks to see if the wolf has seen any signs of his family as they make their way.
Okay. Are you continuing to give like little tiny pieces of beef jerky as you go?
If he seems like he's looking at me expectantly, then yeah, I'll tear off a little bit of it.
Okay. So he does continue to like listen around him, and he'll stop every once in a while and kind of like sniff the air as he's following you. And then there's a moment where you look back and you see him kind of like looking at you, and you think he's looking at you expectantly, and you reach into your pocket and you go to take out that piece of beef jerky and tear off another piece. And as you're tearing off another piece, he comes up and he like licks your hand that it's in and like tries to eat it right out of your hand.
Fergus goes, okay, here, and he just like leaves it in the hand for him to eat.
And he gingerly leans forward and kind of like does the bite and pull away thing and scarfs it down and sits and looks at you.
I think until we got to Waterdeep that we got so far that it's like if his family's not, if we're getting this close to civilization, I think he'd give him plenty of time to try and find them until we got close to civilization. And then it's like they wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be in Waterdeep.
Yeah. Okay. So when you start walking again, he starts walking again. Are you going to try to catch up to everyone else, or you're going to leave them a little bit ahead of you?
I think Fergus is trying to move as close to the group as possible, as the wolf will keep pace. So if the wolf's keeping right next to him, then he'll run up and get up with them.
Yeah. As time passes, he bridges the gap. He's not like walking like right under your arm or anything like that, but he's definitely walking closer to you. And you're able to like look ahead on the road and see them, and they can look back and see you. So it's not like you guys are separated or anything. You're just like a little ways apart, like maybe like 50, 60 feet or something. So it continues on until the end of that day. Same kind of plan for this night. This will be the last night of camping. If you push this to a late evening, then you could probably arrive there by like nightfall the next day. But you would be arriving at the dark just because of like losing a couple of hours. Or I could just say like twilighty time rather than arriving like midday when it's still light outside. Would you want to go a little bit later tonight, or do you want to just arrive kind of like late at night tomorrow? It's up to you all.
I think Fergus would want to make the camp for the night.
To be there by like afternoon or something.
Yeah, like twilighty time. Okay, so you go a little bit longer today, make your camp, wake up bright and early tomorrow. Yeah. When you set the mirror up, did anyone, the only people that were up after Fergus went to bed were Belladonna and Cookie. Did either of you look in the mirror the first night?
No.
No, I would have wanted to do the parchment. I don't think I would have paid attention to the mirror the first night. I would have acknowledged that it was there and become curious about it, but I don't think I interacted with it.
Yeah, okay. you don't know about the mirror because you forgot that he even got it. I would assume.
Right. It's just weird that you pulled a mirror out. Yeah. So that's a thing.
It's a really big mirror. Yeah.
I think Bear would look at it.
I don't think if Bear was still asleep, I don't think Fergus would be waiting on Bear.
Well, Bear went to sleep before Fergus.
Yeah.
So Bear would wake up before Fergus. So Bear, when you look into the mirror, if somebody were to present Bear with what do you want most out of life right now? What would Bear see when Bear looks into the mirror?
Bear would just be absolutely surrounded by such a variety of different foods and treats that you wouldn't even believe. Just wonderfully smelling things, especially. Very fragrant foods.
So you wake up the first day, you're like laying on the ground, obviously your head's on the ground, and you kind of like look over and you look into this mirror and you just see this image of like a mountain of food. Like all around you, it's half obscuring you, it's behind you piled up high. And then you look around you and you're a little disappointed when all of a sudden it's not there. But you look back into the mirror and it's there. You look around you and it's not. And you look back into the mirror again. And it's almost like you get the taste of like a really nice salami. like in your mouth, and there's this like you got the sandwich from Cookie one time when she was like, okay, you've had enough lemon bars, you have to have real food now. And it was like, it was a really good sandwich that you got in one of the towns that you all stopped in. And she was talking about how good it was too. And you just really remember the taste of that sandwich. And you get a +1 to your charisma permanently. Do you leave the mirror out again tonight, Fergus?
I mean, he doesn't have anywhere else to put it. Let me check in my inventory if there's anything that he would have to be able to cover it.
Why are you trying to keep the mirror from the rest of the party, Bryce?
Because I'm trying to protect it, and he is very enthralled by it so that it's like he does not trust Morthos. He does not know you. He is going to be like, people are not taking this from me. So he is protecting it. And he's protecting it from you guys. He's protecting it for anybody who would show up in the night. If bandits came, he would be right next to the mirror to stop them.
I think it looks less like Fergus is like bogarting this thing and more like he's keeping it wrapped up because it's a mirror and you're traveling on the road. It's less that he's like huddling it off away and more just that like he doesn't really understand what it is. And so he keeps like wrapping it up in soft things. Like that's why his bedroll's around it in the first place. Did you have anything else big besides your bedroll?
Yeah, no, yeah. I don't have anything that is protective in that nature.
So it gets leaned up again. Because I feel like flat is more dangerous. Like something could fall on it and break it if it's flat. So he leans it up again for the second night, and you're able to like work out watches or not. A little bit cooler in the air tonight. You're heading south, but it's still summer. It's like a warm climate, but it's almost like there's this like breeze kind of blowing through that's a little bit colder. So it's not cold enough that you have to have a fire, but it would be comfier if you had one. Would you all want to leave the fire lit for the night or go ahead and put it out when you'll go to sleep again or trance again?
I think Fergus would try and lower it, not catch attention, but enough to stay warm.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we taking the same shifts? Like I don't have to take one. Morthos doesn't have to take one.
I mean, I don't see Fergus calling for people to take shifts. So if unless anybody else was calling for that, I don't think anyone's doing it.
I could see Cookie offering to take a shift if Fergus would want to sleep.
I think Fergus staying up is more a like making sure everything's fine with you guys, like a trust with you guys than a watch thing. So he kind of waits for you guys to chill out, and then once everything seems calm, he falls asleep. More than just like a straight watch. And then I'm guessing the wolf is chilling next to him as well.
Yeah, he's kind of like the fire is on the other side of you, and he's kind of away from that. But he's probably only like 3 feet away from you. Just kind of like sits down, eats the whatever food you give him, and kind of like lays down. He looks like he's had like a rough couple of days too.
Yeah, I think as Fergus like gets tired, he kind of lays with the wolf and tries petting it and stuff.
Okay. He kept trying to like sniff your hand for food the first couple of times you reached over. And because he moved quickly, you maybe like pulled your hand back, like, oh, I'm not, don't bite me kind of thing. But after a few times of him like reaching forward to lick, you're able to kind of like chin scritch a little bit and then like reach up and kind of like pet the side of his head, like by his ear. And he seems to allow it.
Right.
Okay. So you all settle down for another night. The mirror is up. There's like a dancing like projection of not only the moonlight, but of like the firelight into it now. And you have an eventful night. Does anybody go and curiously look at the mirror? I'm not guiding you. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. I'm just giving you the opportunity to, should you be curious about it enough to go and like kind of look at what this thing is. Totally up to you all.
I saw how Bear looked at the mirror last night, so I want to see what's up with this weird mirror.
Technically in the morning, I guess.
Doesn't matter. I didn't sleep.
Yeah. What are days to elves? Yeah. So as you kind of like, you go over and you're looking at it, you're not quite at the angle to see yourself in it first because you have to like kind of get up and move. And as you reposition yourself and you kind of like crouch down maybe or sit down, whichever you would do, to like get a good look at this thing. If Belladonna were to be presented with like whatever goal is most present on her mind or whatever she just wants the most in this moment, what would she see in the mirror?
Her sister.
What does she look like?
She looks like a younger version of Belladonna, but her hair is this beautiful, like, pale straw gold color. And she has these, like, beautiful brown eyes. And she just looks so sweet and innocent.
And the image of this girl, your sister, is just kind of looking back at you with like a placid, pleasant look on her face and smiling. Like she waves at one point and just stands there kind of smiling at you.
Jesus. Bella's gonna cry and go lay down for a little bit.
Okay. As the like emotions start to like wash over you and like you reflect upon like how this is making you feel, you gain that bonus to your charisma. And also, are you trying to hide that you are like being made upset by this? You don't have to be, I'm just asking.
She wouldn't make it obviously known, but she wouldn't do much to hide it either.
Okay. With your passive perception, Cookie, unless you would like to roll, and Bella, it's totally up to you. I feel like you would probably notice. You're pretty insightful, and you've had like a night to process your own like hurts and like struggles.
Mhm.
And so you see Belladonna kind of get up and go over and study the mirror, and there's just like a change in her body posture as she's moving away. And you just notice.
I think we need some group therapy.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
I think Cookie would go, Bella, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'll be okay. Thank you.
Do you want to talk about anything?
Not just yet. Maybe another time.
Okay. I just thought I'd check, because, you know.
Cookie.
Thank you. That's really sweet of you. She's
I
sweet
think
as
Cookie
pie.
will go into her bag and pull out a marshmallow. And she's like, this is something new the Kevlers have come up with. And she puts a marshmallow on a stick and puts it over the fire and roasts a marshmallow.
Kevlar original.
They invent s'mores?
Of course they did.
Step by step. I love it.
And she offered it to you. She's like, here, try this.
I'll take it and I just look at it like it's just the coolest thing ever. And I'll just pop it right in my mouth like, oh my god, thank you. This is wonderful.
Yeah, I guess it's not really like a thing people think of to do is to toast the like fluffed sugar, but man, it's really good. It's got like a nice texture to it. There's like a crispiness on the outside and warm gooiness on the inside.
They just figured out marshmallows. They weren't even thinking, what if I put this on a stick and put it over the fire?
What if I light it on fire?
Yeah.
Some wizard somewhere did, but it went really poorly and he never got to record the findings from.
It turned into a marshmallow monster and they were like, never again. Never again.
Is that the Michelin Man?
Days without incident.
Yeah, 0. Yeah. Every mad wizard has that on his door. So the evening comes to a close. If anyone else gets curious about it and goes and looks at it, let me know. And if not, then we'll take off on the next day's journey.
Hey, it's Bryce. I just want to take a moment to thank everyone listening who gave us a shot. We truly appreciate it. Also, if you like Dungeons & Gamers, please rate and review us wherever you are listening to it. And more importantly, tell people you know you think it's great. Because without your help, we'll never know what Kebler cookies are made of. And now, back to the show.
The morning comes. You awake from an uneventful evening, or I shouldn't say uneventful, but there were no disturbances. You all had a pleasant night. You feel well rested, and you know that you will arrive to Waterdeep around the time of sunset. So the wolf is still trailing behind. He's perhaps a little bit closer than he was the day before. He looks a little less distressed. Still sniffs the air occasionally, but you don't see any signs of any packs or anything as you're traveling. It's another thing that as you're looking throughout the day, there's just a marked absence of, and you're kind of getting the impression at this point that whatever altercation it was that occurred, they are gone or they don't exist anymore. Perhaps it's hard to say.
So I'm thinking that he's the last of his pack.
Mm-hmm. As the hours go on and he continues to follow you and takes little pieces of dried meat from time to time, to the point that you're coming down the road and you all start to see kind of Waterdeep on the edge. You're still pretty far inland, but Waterdeep is like a seaside city. So as you can kind of see it, sort of you come over a hill and you see you get to the apex and you get to look down and you can see it off in the distance, and there's this water behind it. There's this kind of moment as you're past noon at this juncture, and you've just finished up your lunchtime rest, and he's kind of sitting next to you, and the thought kind of occurs to you that we're getting pretty close to the town and we haven't seen anything yet.
I think Fergus kind of has this thought, and he looks around in the forest and stuff, just kind of looking around, kind of trying to get a sense if there's wolves nearby, as himself, maybe the wolf isn't seeing it, but maybe he's getting an idea, and I'm assuming he's probably coming up empty as well, even because I figured the wolf would probably know better. Mm-hmm. And he looks over at the wolf, who's probably pretty close, chilling nearby him. Mm-hmm. And he takes the red fabric wrapped around his neck off, and as you kind of as he removes it, people who are watching him do this might notice that it while he's wearing it, the way he's kind of has it tucked in looks more like a bandana, but removing it almost looks like it was a royal cape, but for a little kid. And Fergus looks over at Cookie and goes, Cookie, you have a dagger on you?
Yeah.
Can I borrow it real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. She hands it to you.
And he takes the dagger and he rips or cuts off a portion of the fabric he's wearing and hands the dagger back to Cookie. And he sits facing the wolf and goes, it seems that you lost your family as well. And I know what that's like. So, and he takes the smaller fabric that he's cut off, and he goes to wrap it around his neck, the wolf's neck, like a bandana. Shall I assume the wolf is chill with it?
Yeah, he's sitting. When a wolf is sitting, or a dog, a canine is sitting, and they're looking at you, and they're sitting up, and there's that attentive look on their face, they're paying attention to what you're doing. He's got this like I said, he's got this gaze that is almost like soul piercing in a way, but not like, it's like maybe minorly unsettling, but only because it just seems so like keen and so intelligent. And he's kind of watching you as you're moving around and like isn't really sure exactly what's going on. But as you go to move closer to him and you start to like put it around, he doesn't seem to move.
Right.
He just kind of allows it to happen.
Yeah, Fergus wraps the fabric around his neck like a little bandana and says, you and me are family now. And he goes, well, if you're gonna be a bog, I'm gonna have to come up with a name for you. And he goes, Willerby? And the dog doesn't really do anything. And he goes, Samuel? And dog doesn't do anything. And then he's like, well, Rascal? And then the dog seems to like perk up a little bit. And he goes, then from henceforth, you will be the future Prince of Faraway, Rascal Bog. And he wraps the bandana around him and then he ties the remainder of the fabric back around himself and gets up ready to continue.
Aww.
And as you are kind of like wrapping it back around your neck, you go to like stand up, and where you put your hand down, he kind of like reaches down and like sniffs your hand again and just gives you a little lick.
And he kind of like reaches, he keeps his hand out to like let him lick, almost like a boyfriend girlfriend where like one partner will like stick their hand out, letting the other partner like stick their hand there. He's kind of doing that, but with dog licks instead of their partner's hand.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, you get a couple of licks, and he seems to just follow you a little bit more closely.
Aw, how
Than he did
cute.
before. So you continue on. The hours melt away. You can watch the sun descend in the sky, and the bright day shift to the more golden, sort of purplish tones of the evening, and you come to the gate of Waterdeep. Waterdeep is also known by some as the City of Splendors. It is huge. Over 1 million people live here. It's a massive trading hub. There's a big dock, a huge port. This is a big, sparkling city. All cities have their dark underbellies, which some of you might be more or less familiar with than the others. But you come to the gates of this massive, bustling city. The sounds didn't hit your senses before the vision, the sight of it did, but you heard them from further away than you thought you would. Just the size of this city is massive. Maybe not further away than you thought you would, but it's a sound that carries. And as the night comes and the day fades, the revelry found at the inns and taverns near the door are easy to hear even from the other side. The gate is not closed; it is open to you. Nobody seems to be checking papers or anything like that as you come through. It looks like they're not looking for anything in particular, just generally sort of city guard kind of keeping an eye out for something that does look dangerous. Despite having a bear and a wolf with you, they kind of give you maybe a couple of curious glances, but since animals seem to be well behaved.
And a cactus cat.
And a cactus cat, yes. There are quite a few curious glances. We've accumulated quite a few animals, or some are personages with us. But despite like them kind of maybe giving you like a curious look and then like a once over or something when they see that there's no like aggression from the animals, like they just kind of like obviously study you and making no intent to hide it or anything, and they seem to be satisfied with what they see, and you pass unaccosted. It's probably not just like if anyone's been to a city before, if you haven't lived your whole life in the woods, it's not entirely uncommon to see people come through with large animals, especially the ones that seem to be tamed. They're parts of shows and things like that. So they make whatever assumptions they do, they seem to let you through. And
With
you
all-
open...
With
Go
all
ahead.
the animals we got, they're probably like, animal traders. Yep, well, this is
Right, yeah. That's a new one, but this isn't the first time we've seen it. But yeah, so you come to the gates of the city and you pass through, and before you are street lights being lit, the sound of music, various different styles and songs coming from the taverns near the gate, and the road rolling forward to you. Where are you heading first?
So I know that Fergus is gonna want to stop at shops. He needs to pick up some stuff. But we're gonna want to know where we're gonna make set up at. So we might want to find an inn first.
Okay. Are you thinking, whereabouts in the city? So the city is separated out into a couple of different districts. If you are wanting to be close by your target, you're going to want to set up in the sea ward of Waterdeep, which is to the west. So if you're entering into the gates coming from the north, then you'll be turning to the right to head west. Have I told you the name of the place yet?
No, I do not know the name of the place we're trying to rob.
So it is called the Violet Scepter. The Violet Scepter is in the seaboard, and it's pretty easy to find the wards of the city, even if you've never been to Waterdeep before, because there are helpful signs up and things posted around, as there tend to be in large cities, so that people don't walk in and are completely lost as to where to go. So if you find your way over to the Sea Ward, there is sort of it's still split up into the sort of more residential areas, the more shop-like areas, and there seems to be there's the residential and then the sort of temples that are situated there, and then beyond the sort of mercantile area of the Sea Ward, there are basically there's a little inn and tavern area where you can tell that this is kind of where people go to stay or to drink and make merry in this area. And then among the other sort of larger grandiose establishments that are here, there's a massive temple to Timora and things like that are not in the temple district, but near the mercantile district. And near this building, there is the closest and most convenient inn is a place called the Golden Harp.
Mm.
All of the inns in this sort of area have a way of signaling when they have space available, and there are only a handful of them that seem to have space available, and this is the one that's closest to your mark.
Yeah, I think that's. I was I don't know if he's gonna want to be too close, or he's not gonna want to get too close to it. But I think at the end of the day, having a excuse to be extremely close to it is probably going to be beneficial. Of we're not snooping around. This is where we're staying. So I think as close as he can get is probably going to make the most sense.
Yeah, it's still kind of situated in a different sort of sector where all of the inns are, but it's the one that's kind of it's not even the closest one. It's just the closest one that has space available. So it's not suspiciously close, but it's close enough that it's convenient. And yeah, you could be I'm just heading back to my place if you're looking around the outside and feel like someone's watching you. So you enter into this place. I'm assuming you're going to get the room set up and then you're going to go pick up your supplies that you need.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a 2-story inn. When you walk in, you see this magnificent painting of a golden harp at the entrance. The background is kind of abstract and purplish and red. The floors are a deep polished wood. There's everything here is very shiny. All the draperies are a deep purple. There's a really nice juxtaposition of dark woods and dark fabrics with gold embellishments, and then all the tables have marble tops. So it's a dark and light play on the room. Everything's very clean, very shiny, very tidy. And instead of having an individual person that you would go and make arrangements with, it's almost like they have set up what their options are. You almost get the feeling that like several of these inns in this particular area are used to catering to people who travel a lot and are looking for like long-term stays. And so there's like, X number of rooms available for these number of days at this rate. And then there's like upgrades to like suites and things like that. So what kind of thing are you looking for? Like how many rooms?
So I'm thinking, okay, so what would a suite be? Would that be kind of like a big common area, but everybody kind of has their own room type thing in it?
A suite, the suites that they have available are like a common area and then like 2 separate rooms that each have 2 beds in them, but they're like large size beds. They're not like the tiny ones that you get on like roadside inns. So you get the idea that there would be enough space for everyone, given that like Bear probably isn't sleeping in a bed and things like that, but not everyone would necessarily get their own room.
That's what you think.
Maybe Bear will be sleeping on the bed.
I think he'd want a suite for everybody and then a separate room for him.
Okay.
And I think he's not going to make a point. He's going to try and hide it, but he's going to want to get the cheapest room for himself he can manage.
Okay. How long do you anticipate, or how long would you like to book for? Because they basically have like a check sheet where it's like, what type of rooms do you want? How long do you want to stay? And it's not giving specific rates. It looks like it's almost like negotiable depending upon how long you're looking for.
Okay, so you and me have talked a little bit about the situation with the casino.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a tournament coming up. Fergus knows about this, correct? Because I'm figuring he's planned this around that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, probably up till that tournament.
So like roughly a month.
Yeah, roughly.
It's not indicating anywhere that you have to pay for everything up front.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like getting an idea of like what your estimated time is.
Yeah.
So you think about probably a month or so.
Yeah, that's what he's gonna tell him.
Okay. So you've got the like sheet that they've got there, the like parchment, and you like check off all of your appropriate boxes. And once that's done, then there is like a lectern in the back where you see an older half-elven woman. Being that she's half-elven, it's easy to estimate that she's probably like 120-ish. She looks older for a half-elf. And she's in this like gorgeous dark green gown almost. It's not like a ball gown. It's kind of almost like a cocktail dress. Like she's dressed up at work in this place. It looks like it's intended to like look nice. And as you approach, she's kind of sitting there and she's writing something on some papers. And as you get about like 5 feet away, she looks up and says, "Yes, can I help you?"
Hello. I'm looking to rent some rooms for an extended stay.
"Have you filled out your form?"
Yes.
She reaches for it.
He hands the paper over.
She takes a look at it. Yes. Will you be paying half up front and half at the end, or all up front?
What's the grand total looking like?
For this combination, for the duration, it's a bit negotiable. What do you tend to do while you're in town? We do have some relationships with local businesses, and we can offer packages.
We're doing some business around. There's nothing particular. We're just some some local travelers. So got some business across a couple means.
Don't worry, I didn't mean to pry. That's very fine.
No. We're just
We're on vacation.
Yeah. Well,
With the kids.
it's a business vacation.
Yeah.
It's a working vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Work and pleasure.
It's like going to PAX. It's like, hey, it's fun, but it's also I'm vlogging.
It's also vlogging. Yes, let's see here. Let's see. It does seem that we've got a bit of we are a little low on occupancy at the moment. People aren't going to be arriving for another couple of weeks, so we do have some specials on right now. There will be different rates as we head up towards the tournament. Are you aware?
Yes. That I'll be quite excited to see that. I'm a big fan.
I see that you'll be here roughly about that long. So I thought you might be looking forward to that or might like to find out about that. She takes some papers from behind her desk. Sorry, go ahead.
I do know of the big event coming up. Did you know what the how they're planning to run things this year?
With the tournament, they have individual matches that are going to be like show matches. I know they usually do that in like interludes. There's a big bracket, and then there's just individual. Aside from the more performance-based fights, there will be actual individual matches. Some with established champions or those that one might not want to come up against in battle, trying to tempt perhaps adventurers to test their mettle against them. There's a bit of a variety, really. It's, what's your preference?
I love the physical the gosh, I'm trying to think, like what would they call like MMA and
yeah.
I love the I love the tournament scene altogether. I just love to know what they've got at this particular one.
You can imagine there to be itineraries usually in about 2 weeks from now.
Oh yes,
they release it a bit early.
I'm sure we'll pop over there. And what was the name of the casino one more time?
Purple Scepter.
Violet
Scepter. Sorry, the proper name for purple.
Names. It is. No, I'm kidding. It's a specific shade of purple is what it is. Well, if you do plan to attend the tournament, then we do have specials for that. It will only apply to the last 2 weeks of your stay. Would you like for me to include that?
I don't think so. I think that's one of the things that we're planning to do, but with the group we've got, it's hard to plan for anything specific.
All right, very well. So she takes a sheet from you, or she'd already taken the sheet from you, and she begins scratching some notes on it, and she's writing with this very fine-looking quill. It's got an egregiously long white feather. It's unnecessary. It's obviously just meant to be very flashy. And she's doing some tallies and stuff on it, and she says, "Well, I think for about a month-long stay, for this amount of space, we could probably do 35 gold."
Fergus goes, "Oh yes, that should be fine."
And will that be all up front, or half now and half later?
I'll pay up front now.
Half now, half later, always. Gosh.
She collects the 35 gold from you. And returns to you 2 keys. One looks much nicer than the other, but the other one is still it's clean, it's well kept. Everything here looks clean and well kept. It doesn't look like they're sending you to the boiler room with the other one or anything. It's just the sort of flash that somebody who pays extra for the suite would want is obviously present in one key and not the other. And they have numbers on them.
Is my room near their room?
No.
Okay, I wasn't guessing so, but
yeah.
Okay, so but I do think we'll all go to the suite. I'll follow them to the suite.
Yeah, you paid for the rooms. They're not going to stop you and ask who goes where or anything like that. You all came in together. You all she took the money from you. It doesn't. She kind of similar to other people, she gave a glance over at all the various assortment of animals in tow, but it was kind of one of those cock and eyebrow, scratch out one amount and write a higher amount, sort of there's pets involved here kind of thing. So no one's going to stop and question you as to what room you're going to.
Okay, sounds good. So we go up there. Once we get up there, you guys making yourself comfortable?
A real bed, all right.
This is so nice, Fergus. Thanks. Such a fancy place.
Yeah, I'll have this room for you all. I'll have a room down the hall for from you guys. But pick your rooms amongst yourselves and all that and such. Belladonna, do you have a moment?
Yeah.
So did Bella make any indication that she was trying to find the information? Because like Fergus had made mention, but not a direct.
If you wanted to look in your way in, you could, or if you like, do you feel like you've been to Waterdeep before?
Yeah, she's definitely been here before.
Okay. So you know where to go. You know that you're going to be heading to the docks ward. And it's going to take a little bit of time for you to get there, but it's on the other side of town, so there's nothing really for you to like keep an eye out for here.
Mm.
But I was wondering if Bella indicated that you were going to try and find information.
No, not to you specifically.
Okay.
I don't have anything to ask about.
Okay.
Specifically, but
Fergus goes, I know I mentioned stuff to you earlier. Have you been to Waterdeep?
oh yeah, a couple times.
Do you think you might be able to get in contact with the less than lawful type who might have information about a casino nearby?
Yeah, what kind of information would you be looking for?
Schematics?
That's oddly specific. Like you just want like a layout?
Yeah, a general. I need to know where everything is.
Okay. Yeah, I could probably try to reach out and see if I can find anything.
Yeah. Anything else about the casino and this tournament they have coming up would definitely be helpful. Yeah, if you can just get me in touch with the people who have that information, I can try and take it from there.
Oh, yeah, no, that won't be happening. I can act as your liaison. I will not be giving you the information from my contact.
Whatever it takes to get the information. And he kind of sheepishly goes, I know we just met, but thank you for the help.
Oh, don't mention it, buddy.
And then
Seem like you need it.
and then Fergus kind of looks over, so everybody seems to be getting comfortable, and he says he kind of like looks at his what gold he has left after paying for the room and stuff, and goes, I'm gonna pop over to the shops real quick, but when we get back, I'll explain the job. And so Fergus goes to go do some shopping.
Okay.
Montage.
Yeah.
The shopping montage. So are you planning on going out tonight and making contact with your liaison, Belladonna?
Yes.
Okay. And I know you can like kind of take time now to do like any shopping or like purchase any supplies that you need. And I know that you had some stuff that you needed to pick up to Morthos.
Yeah, Morthos wanted to head out and get some components.
Okay. So we'll start with Morthos. You go ahead and would you say you've ever been to Waterdeep before?
I'd say Morthos has, but I have not.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. You're fine. This is character knowledge. So if you've been here before, you know where you're heading. It's not hard to find magical components, especially for like the spells that aren't like big, fancy, and flashy, and you don't need like 1,000 gold piece diamond for or anything like that. You can pretty much pop into one of the like magical shops on the block. They're like Starbucks, right? There's like you can find a little bit of clay pretty much anywhere, kind of thing. So there's this one place that you've been to that it's not quite in the seaboard. It's kind of like on the edges of the seaboard and like the dock ward. But you liked it because the people there don't ask questions. They just give you what you need. You give them the money. There's no like small talk. You don't have to like You walk in, you get what you want, and their prices are a lot better than some of the other places that you've found around. So you know that you have to travel south to get there. So you start heading through town, and you're still familiar enough with the place that you can, like, even if it's been a while, you can navigate everything perfectly fine. So you're traversing the cobblestones, and you know there's like a particular alley that you need to turn down to kind of like cut across and make the journey take about 10 minutes less time. So you head down there. And I need you to make a dex save for me.
Okay. And I got a 21, so I got a 20.
Nice. Nice.
Why are there two?
Oh, I rolled twice. Whoops.
Yeah.
Oh no, what was the first one?
11.
Oh, no.
11.
I'm going to take the second one. No.
I would like the natural 20, please.
That is a shame. So
That is a bummer.
yeah, you turn down this alley. This is less of an alley and more like one of those all the shops back up to this sort of thing. So it's not like dark and tiny and narrow or anything, but there are narrower alleys that go between the shops and the various buildings. And as you turn down this alley, an arm shoots out of one of the narrower, like actual alleys between the two buildings, grabs you by the collar and like yanks you in to what is now a very dark alley because it is small, secluded. There's not a street light here, and night has come. You see in front of you, as you're kind of like shoved against the brick wall, a short, half-elven person. They have short, cropped brown hair. And at first they don't look necessarily familiar to you, but then you see the piercing blue eyes that they have. And you realize that the last time you saw this person, their hair was longer and their clothes were a bit of a different fashion. Hello, mortals. Their lips curl into something that's half smile and half snarl. Do you respond to them, or are you standing there silently?
I kind of react to,
When you
who
start
are you?
trying to
What's
talk,
going on? Yeah.
They put their hand over your mouth. And they said, whatever name you knew me by before is dead. It's Adaro now, and you'll do well to remember that.
Daru?
Adaro.
Adaro.
You are quite forgetful, aren't you, mortals?
I don't think we've met before.
We've not met. You've never made any promises or any arrangements, and you certainly don't owe any debts then. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that sounds like me. Debt-free and just trying to buy some supplies, you know?
They like reach up and they grab you by the shoulder and like, not like slam you because you're already kind of like against this wall, but they kind of like hold you back. And there's like a glint of like metal in the light as they kind of like are flashing like a dagger. And they're not like brandishing it at you, but it's more like they're holding it out at arm's length so the bit of light that comes in from the wider like walking area can shine off of it. And they're like, perhaps I need to help you remember.
Now that you mention it, I think you do look a little familiar.
Where's my money?
Well, so you see, the thing is, I mean, I only have a little bit that I could give you, 2 gold right now. Like that's all I really have.
Make a deception check.
17.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Why do you find yourself so poor, mortals, especially when you owe me so much money?
Well, I've been, working on making some money. I joined up with some adventurers, and I'm supposed to get paid sometime, but, they keep holding out on me.
Greedy adventurers. I'm used to dealing with them. Well, Adaro needs their due. What are you doing for these adventurers?
Well, we help some sick kids.
Did you make money doing this?
No, they were poor kids.
Damn sick poor kids. Get a job.
Mortals, it's been a while since you've been here, and you may not know this, but with my new name comes new power. I could kill you, but then I won't get my money. How long?
Ooh. I don't really have a timeline. I don't know. Maybe we can figure out an installment plan or something.
I'm not happy, Mortals.
You don't look happy. But I'd like to walk out of here today.
I'll tell you what. I'm not happy, but I've had a good day. I let you live today. I find you again. And when I find you, you better have something of value to me. And I'm watching. So if you try to leave the city, I will know.
Okay, well, it was nice to meet you, Adaru.
The dagger that they had in their hand, they kind of like flip up in the air and catch it by the like blade, and their hand like disappears under like a flowing piece of fabric or something. It's like their hand goes down and all of a sudden the dagger's gone and you don't know what happened to it. And they just take a step back and they're like, I'm watching. And they lean against the wall on like the other side of the alley from you.
Morthos just turns around and runs back the way he came. Just doesn't even bother getting components. Just hightails it back to the inn.
Okay. Do you are you going to like run in, like bursting in, like sweaty and red faced from running, or are you going to like try to compose yourself?
Yeah, get a couple blocks away. It's like, okay, I'm like back in normal people are here. I'm just gonna cool off, take a deep breath, just try to collect myself as I walk back in, and just like, yep, had a good time, quiet night. It was
Nothing
fine.
to see here. Okay. And you have prestidigitation, so you can easily like dry off your clothes or anything like that. So you return pretty quickly, actually. Does anybody stay behind? Cookie, do you have anything you need to go do while you're here? Any supplies to buy?
Nothing like in a hurry that she needs. So she probably did stay and like took a bath and like stuff like that just to kind of hang out.
Morthos gets back really quickly, a little bit quicker than he said he would, but he also said he like would be gone for a little bit and didn't really say, so yeah, it's whatever. Belladonna, you were gonna go make contact tonight, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you head down to the docks, and you know that in dock number 9, in order to reach your contact in Waterdeep, you walk up, you lean against the light post, and about 10 paces ahead of you, there's a candle that's always lit on the side of like a banister almost that leads down to the lower levels of the docks. And you lean there for a few moments, and then you walk over and you snuff out the candle. You take like another 5 to 10 paces forward, and there's like, it's not so much a bench as it is like, there's a bit of like a recess in one of the like buildings that people can almost like sit on, but it's not like it's a comfortable perch or anything like that. So you can go and you can choose to sit there, or you can choose to like lean against the wall, but you must look busy. You can't look like you're just looking around for people. So what do you do while you're standing there and waiting for somebody to show up after you've basically like given the signal?
I'm gonna sit on the bench, and I'm going to shuffle my playing cards from my playing card set.
All right, perfect. So you're shuffling your cards, and a few moments pass, and another person comes in. This thing is wide enough just about for 2 people. It's not so much as it's like a tight squeeze, like there's an end to it, but for 2 people to sit, you're not like quite fully seated on this little like recess in the side. And a person just kind of like sits down next to you and opens up a book and begins turning pages. You rang?
Yeah, I have a job that I will be executing shortly, and I am in need of some intel.
Ah, yes, we can do that, of course. What's the mark?
What is it called?
The Violet Scepter.
The Violet Scepter.
The Queen's Grace.
It's a flower that hangs.
Have you run this by anyone? That's quite a big mark.
No, I have not.
That's okay. I think we should. They'll probably send a delegate. Would you want to meet with them alone, or do you have a group? Do you plan to do this by yourself?
I have a group. I don't necessarily know how comfortable it would make them to meet with the delegate, though. But if you think it would help.
Oh, I don't think it will help. I think it will be necessary. It's a big mark, and information should be easy enough to come by, but there'll probably be a price. A guild price, of course.
Naturally.
And you know that, like, if you're working with people outside the guild, like if this were a guild mark, you'd be being paid for the score because they're going to be making money off of it. But because you have like a group who's wanting to do something and you're coming for information, basically the group has to like pay their due for the information they're going to be given. So it's not like extortion or anything. It's more like they wouldn't even be able to have access to this without you. And so it has to be worth it to them to like give them the information that they've had to spend effort to collect, basically.
Sure.
So it just kind of seems like, okay, yeah, it's a casino. Maybe it's a big building. Maybe there's a lot of money. Maybe they want something out of it. But they want like, this isn't going to be like a base level job. Like somebody important is going to come talk to you or to the group, depending on what you decide.
Okay. Well, we should probably talk to the group because I don't think that they know what they're getting themselves into.
Okay. I believe who's free tonight is the Lark. So, would you like to meet with them tonight, or would you like to establish a time some other day?
Perhaps we should meet tomorrow so that I can relay this information to my party and give them time to prepare.
Okay. That is her district, so it will likely be her anyway, but you'll know who it is when they arrive.
Wonderful. But, will she be arriving where we're staying?
Is that what you would prefer? You can tell us where you'd like to meet, or we can simply...
Yeah, we actually reserved a suite at the Golden Harp, so if she's comfortable, we can meet there.
She'll blend in nicely. No worries. So you feel very confident about this exchange. It's maybe not surprising to you, but like you just realized as the conversation progressed that, like I said, this was kind of like a big mark maybe, or that they were going to want more than just like a base level person managing it. So like, this isn't like an alarm bells thing. It's almost actually kind of like a little exciting perhaps that somebody important in the city is going to like meet with you. It might mean that there's a little extra work involved, but it also might mean that like your name gets put in as like a look what they did for the guild here kind of thing, so
Heck yeah.
maybe some side rep in it for you.
All for it.
They close their book, they get up and they walk away.
Cool. I put my playing cards away and I return to the inn.
Okay. So, Cookie and Bear are already there. Morthos was the first one back. Belladonna arrives second, and shortly thereafter, Fergus arrives back to the suite.
Fergus back from shopping. looks around the group and says, well, I guess it's finally time to explain what's happening. But if you'll allow me a little patience, I'd like to explain to you what this job means to me. And he kind of like looks around, look for acknowledgement that they're like chill with him, talking a little bit more.
I mean, I'm not gonna stop you.
I'm a bear.
Are you like sitting watching him talk, or are you just like futzing around in the
Futzing around. I'm probably like rolling around on the floor or something.
Well, Fergus is like, okay, let me tell.
Scratching my back.
Time to get serious. And
Rolling
then
around
Bear's
on one
like,
of the beds in the room.
I love
Getting
it.
hair absolutely everywhere.
It's a very dog-like trait there, Bear.
I can't help it.
That's what I'm saying.
Bare necessities, a simple bare necessity.
Fergus starts to talk, and I think you can tell that he's a little emotional speaking about this. And he says, the bards tell a story about my parents, how she was cursed with a horrible appearance at night, and he saved her from the tallest tower, and they fell in love. They get a lot of the details wrong. And he reaches into his bag and he pulls out a playbill from the play, The Princess and the Ogre. And he kind of gestures at the picture on it with like a bulbous head and weird circular looking ears like antennas. And he's like, this doesn't even look like an ogre. Like, what's with the ears? Anyway, that's who my parents were. They keep calling him an ogre. Obviously, I'm an orc. Like, ogres don't even look like that. Like, my parents are orcs. I don't know how they got the story this way. But that's who my parents are. They were the people from the story. As their son, I am the heir of the kingdom of Faraway. But something happened. When I was 10 years old, an army came for my family. An army wearing the colors of my kingdom of Faraway. Our parents told us to run to get to our uncle's house as they went to fight. There was hundreds of soldiers. I got separated from my brother and sister in the woods as the soldiers seemed to be everywhere circling our swamp. I got clear of the woods and eventually made it to my uncle's. When we made it back to the swamp, there were bodies everywhere. And in the center of it, I saw my parents. Soldiers from far away killed my family. I don't know why. I know my dad said our grandpa didn't like him at first, but they made up. We visited them a bunch when we were younger. They were good. I don't know why they did this. Anyway, when we put my parents to rest, I noticed my mom's necklace was missing. One of those people who killed them must have taken it. And then I found out it was sold to a man who goes by the name The Collector. He has it in his collection like some random bit or bob. I won't stand for it. This is the property of the royal family of Faraway. It's mine. It might be the proof I need to show the citizens of Faraway that I am the rightful heir to the throne. It's in the Violet Scepter. That's who runs it. That's who has my mom's necklace. I have a plan for us to get it and get you paid. But I can't do it alone. And with your help, I can do this, I think. So, will you help me rob the Violet Scepter and get my mom's necklace back?
I think Morthos just looks around at everyone else and is just like, is like thinking to himself, I'm not cut out for this type of action. So I'm just gonna wait and see what everyone else says here.
Well, about that. If we're gonna do it, we're not gonna do it alone. I've got someone from my guild coming to help us. They're gonna meet with us tomorrow. For anyone who's willing to join.
So does that mean you're in?
I mean, yeah. If my guild is in, I'm in.
What does your guild do?
Wouldn't you like to know?
You're not gonna kill me tonight, are you?
No. Oh, goodness. No. Not you.
Are you two bunking together?
I think we're all sharing the room.
Well, there's the common area and then 2 rooms with 2 beds each, correct, Katie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so then you'd be... Are you in the same room as Morthos?
If Bear has a bed.
I imagine I'd spend most of the time in the common area. I don't even think I'd worry about a bed.
Okay. Anyway, Cookie?
Cookie's a little misty-eyed and kind of like pats away the tears, and she's like, I'll help you, Fergus. It's like, but I'm gonna not have to wear my Kevlar uniform because I can't have the Kevlar name attached to this. I could get into some big trouble, but I want to help you.
Fergus goes, and the bear?
Cookie turns up, cast speak with animals, kind of fills the bear in and be like, what do you think, bear?
I guess. I mean, if you're going, I don't really care. That's fine.
Bear said yes.
That's good because the plan I have requires the bear.